For the spooky month, I'm covering magic in Game of Thrones, The World of Ice and Fire. This video, I want to talk about 5 dangerous men that practice dark magic. While the ladies of the World of Ice and Fire are more plentiful, which is why I made a video of 10 evil dark magic using ladies, we do have some interesting dark magic users that are men. First, I want to start with 3 that I have less known about them before getting into the more evil, detailed ones. First, Dagon Drum. Dagon Drum was a legendary Ironborn that was alive during the Age of Heroes and said to be a necromancer. Not much else is known about him, but as raising the dead and manipulating them for your own use is kinda messed up, I'm sure he did horrible things with this ability. Next, Morgan Banefort. He was the last hooded king of House Banefort during the Age of Heroes. Morgan was also a necromancer and warred with House Lannister for 20 years. Though he was eventually killed, he got the last laugh on the Lannisters. Before his death, he told King Lorien Lannister I that he would come back from the grave and get his vengeance. To stop this, and because the king knew he was a necromancer and feared his abilities to come back from the dead, he had Morgan's body cut into pieces and fed to his pet lions. The very lions the king fed Morgan to broke free 2 years later and devoured 3 of the king's sons. Was this a coincidence, or was this Morgan's necromancy powers? Who's to say? Lotho or Lo the Terrible. He was a god emperor of the Golden Empire of Yi. Legend states that he was a sorcerer and a cannibal. He earned the nickname Lo Longspoon by eating the living brains of his enemies with a long pearl-handled spoon after the tops of their skulls were cut off. Practicing necromancy and eating your enemies' brains while they're still alive, that's pretty dark. Next, the Bloodstone Emperor. This guy was messed up. He was the 9th and last ruler of the Great Empire of the Dawn and the son of the Opal Emperor. He was incredibly jealous of his older sister, who took over after his father passed as the Amethyst Empress. Because of his jealousy, he killed his sister and declared himself the Bloodstone Emperor. This act was so evil, it became known as the Blood Betrayal and was said to have caused the Long Night. This is when the Maiden Maid of Light turned her back on the world and the Lion of Night came to punish the evil of men. From his ascension, he rained terror down on his people. He feasted on human flesh, tortured people liberally, practiced necromancy, and enslaved his own people. He cast down the true gods worshipped by the Empire and instead worshipped a black stone that fell from the sky, becoming the first priest of the Church of Starry Wisdom, an evil religion that supposedly does some real dark stuff. They also said he had a tiger woman for a bride, like it's a bad thing. I guess it depends if it was just a tiger that was a female, then yeah, that's a bit off. But it was a half human, half tiger. That actually kind of sounds cool. Qyburn.
Right. Thank you.
Take the head.
Pardon me, Your Grace. I would take it, if you don't mind. It could prove useful for my work.
Qyburn is a twisted man that was kicked out of the Citadel and stripped of being a maester for the horrible things he did.
Curiosity. The only way to treat disease is to understand disease. And the only way to understand it is to study the afflicted.
You performed experiments on living men.
On dying men.
With their permission.
My studies have given me insight that has saved many lives.
Including black magic and necromancy. While a lot of what he does in the Black Cells isn't known, we're made very aware that he only takes women, is obsessed with life and death, so he might be using blood magic and necromancy to impregnate these women with monsters. We also know that he enjoys cutting people alive to study the body with a living organism. The use of blood magic to birth half-human monsters has been done before, so maybe he just wants to recover those lost arts with those ladies. Of course, only death can pay for life, so he may have sacrificed some of these women to bring back the mountain as Sir Robert Strong. All in all, it's pretty hard not to include Qyburn on this list of evil men that do really dark shit with magic. Which brings me to, I sorta want to put Bloodraven on this list. The great bastard of Aegon the Unworthy did practice magic, and a lot of people were afraid of him. But he seemed to do everything for the greater good of the realm. It's hard to hate on a guy that was just super loyal to the Targaryens. Now, if it turns out in the books he skin changes into Bran to continue his long life, yeah, that's kinda dark, but we're not there yet. Now, besides these 5, maybe 6, men that use magic for dark purposes, we also know other men in the world of Ice Ice and Fire that utilized other dark magic users, so they didn't necessarily use the magic themselves, for their own goals and desires. One such may be 𝐴𝑟𝑒𝑛-𝐻𝑜𝑟. This one is debatable if he caused the curse via what he did, or if the magic he used caused the curse. So it's believed 𝐴𝑟ENhor, king of the Isles and the Rivers, mixed human blood into mortar for the stonework of Harrenhal, and the combination of all the deaths there and Harren's ego created a curse that now exists at Harrenhal. A curse that prevents any lord from holding Harrenhal indefinitely. Whether he utilized someone to come up with this recipe, or it was just a happy little accident, 𝐴𝑟EN did create evil that now won't leave Harrenhal. Maegor the Cruel. Maegor the Cruel was the third Targaryen king to sit the Iron Throne and was a usurper. He took the throne from his older brother's children. Maegor had quite a few dark magic ladies around him. First was his mother Visenya. Visenya was the sister wife of Aegon the Conqueror and a very stern, unforgiving woman that dabbled in poisons and magic. Many claim that she was a dark sorceress, and many more speculate she was the one that poisoned her nephew stepchild King Aenys I to install her own son on the throne. Visenya also really approved of Tyenna of the Tower, which was the third of 6 for Maegor's wives, due to Tyenna being into some really dark stuff and dabbling in poison. Maegor used her to ferret out secrets and to torture his enemies. Unfortunately, she also used her poisons and her dark arts to make sure Maegor never had a living child. Ursula Upcliff was brought to Robar Royce II to help beat back the Andals. Her sorcery and curses didn't help him too much though, and she had her head clean ripped off in a battle. Pretty gruesome. Some other people that utilized magic users: Bloodraven joined up with Shira Seastar to use magic to get confessions and secrets out of people that might hurt the realm. Aemon Targaryen hooks up with a psycho woods witch, which honestly, good for him, and the wife of Sir Clarence Crabb brought back severed heads to give her husband advice. Now, if I had to rank the dark magic using gentlemen, I'd say the Bloodstone Emperor was the worst just because of the power he had to really go nuts with his dark rituals. Next, Qyburn, because he's just a sadistic person that used people to further his studies of dark magic and the dark arts. Third, Morgon Banefort, because he probably got up to a lot of horrible things in the 20 years he was at war with the Lannisters, but since one dead Lannister is called a good start, he's kind of a hero of mine. Next, Loathe the Terrible, but can you really blame a guy that got crafty with his victims? And lastly, Drum, just because we don't have a lot on him besides he was a necromancer. I mean, what if he rezzed people's dead cats? You just don't know. But let me know, which one do you think was the most evil and the most dangerous?